What's happening, ladies and germs? It's the PackerMan, and welcome to today's edition of All Elite Review. The go-home show for Double or Nothing, which took place on May the 20th, 2020. It's been a bit of a rough week as far as the wrestling world is concerned, and as far as AEW is concerned as well. Of course, at the beginning, right at the beginning of the video, you saw the graphics of Shad, Gaspard, and Hana, Kimura, both passing away this week. One due to an accidental drowning out in Venice Beach, and another one due to suicide because of some fuckbag scum suckers on social media. So it's been a rough week in the wrestling world, and All Elite Wrestling hasn't been immune to this either, because on this go home show they had a few of their top stars suffer some significant injuries, two of which have had to withdraw from Double or Nothing as a result. So, and one probably won't miss that much time because it didn't look that serious, but there's an injury that took place, probably the first serious injury that AEW has had in its existence, that will probably cause this wrestler to miss the remainder of the 2020 calendar year. It kind of sucks. But as I'm recording this, Double or Nothing is going to be starting at about 3.5 hours, so I want to try to get this done and over with. So, AEW Dynamite, episode number 31, the go-home show to Double or Nothing. So, the Inner Circle arrives at the arena in a limo, talks some shit to Alex Marvez. Then we have our first match, a singles match between Preston Vance against the AEW champion Jon Moxley. Brody Lee basically cuts a promo talking to the audience that is watching how they don't really relate to him, and how he managed to, find a beautiful piece, which he's talking about the AEW Championship. And he basically says that 10 has been knighted and is a knight of the Dark Order, so to speak. And then Jon Moxley comes out, of course, starts things out right away with his running high knee, a cradle suplex, which I haven't really seen him do ever, really. And then he hits his X-Plex, and then 10 takes control for a bit, hits him with a pump kick, a back suplex on the apron, a ripcord cutter, which was unique for a 2 count. Then hits his spine buster that he had used to actually win a few matches on Dark with. But then Moxley hits his paradigm shift, his Gotch pile driver, which is the cradle pile driver, and then he hits his elevated paradigm shift, the Death Rider, and gets the 3 count for the victory. This was an alright opening match. I give it 2.5 stars out of 5. After the match, Moxley grabs a couple of chairs and a mic, and tells Brody Lee to basically bring his belt back out to him, I'm paraphrasing, or he's going to break 10's arm. Brody Lee appears on the Titantron and basically says that he's made this personal, and he is leaving and sacrificing 10, and is leaving with the championship belt. So Moxley obliges and basically says, alright, see you Saturday night, and smashes 10's arm in between the 2 chairs. So there's that. And then right before MJF was going to come out for his match against Marco Stunt, Tony Schiavone was like, oh yeah, I can't wait. And Excalibur started cracking up. And JR was like, your little buddy and friend. And Schiavone called him a jerk ass. He's like, what a jerk ass. And I just died laughing. And then JR calls him a slap Richard. That was funny as hell. Alright, so next match was MJF versus Marco Stunt. I mean, this, you might as well just call this a squash match for the most part. But it was a good squash match. MJF with a body slam, a bear hug to start things out. Marco tries to fight out of it with ear clapping, but MJF hits him with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex and kips up afterwards. MJF forces Marco to pick his own nose, which is kind of disgusting. MJF with a lariat and a Beal. Marco actually hits a Dragon Rana, which sends MJF into the corner, hits a Shining Wizard. And then a really funny sequence happened during this match where Marco goes for a baseball slide to the outside. MJF pulls up the skirt, the side skirting, and traps Marco behind it. It was a perfectly executed little spot. Goes for an X handle, but Marco ducks. And MJF smashes his hands onto the apron, which is pretty funny. Marco sends MJF into the stairs. Looked like Marco was going to go for a tope suicida, but MJF counters with a forearm shot. And then MJF hits his butterfly shoulder breaker and transitions into his Salt of the Earth Fujiwara armbar for the submission victory. I gave this match 2.5 stars out of 5 as well. Afterwards, MJF cuts a promo and forces Marco to kiss his ring. The rest of Jurassic Express come out to make the save. And then we have a lot of segments that are shown in this next little bit. First of which was the face-off between Jake the Snake Roberts and Arn Anderson. Of course, the respective managers for their respective wrestlers, Lance Archer and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, ahead of the TNT Championship match, which I'm really looking forward to, and also really looking forward to see what that belt looks like, because we haven't seen any hint of what the championship belt looks like, and I'm really curious to see what it is. But if it's anything like, the other championships that they've introduced, I think it'll look really nice. So that's just my opinion. But Roberts basically puts Lance Archer over as a dominant force. Double A says that he can see the evil in Jake the Snake Roberts, and Roberts basically says, "I've been to hell and back," alluding to his drinking problem. He basically says anytime, anywhere. And then Double A says that Mike Tyson will have free reign at Double or Nothing because Mike Tyson's going to be presenting the winner of the Cody Lance Archer match with the TNT Championship, and he challenges Roberts to throw Damien onto Mike Tyson and see what happens. Roberts says that anything he throws at Tyson will take him down. Yeah, okay. And he basically calls Brandy a bimbo. And then Double A says that he calls himself a vicious prick. And he basically says that the reason I don't, there's a reason why I'm not going to cover the distance between the table that they're separated by. But he basically says he threatens to spine bust Roberts' ass and stick his head where the sun don't shine, which causes Roberts to get up and flip the table over, and a tense standoff happens between the two, and they have to be separated by refs. And then after that, we get a Darby Allin video package, which shows him basically playing poker with 3 other guys that have like these paper face masks of some of his opponents in the casino ladder match, which was also affected by an injury that took place on this show, which we'll get to that in a minute. And then they go to a commercial. After commercial, we see Pac for the first time in a while. He's been, of course, stuck over in England during this whole COVID-19 shit. Basically cuts a promo on Orange Cassidy and basically warns him of Death Triangle's impending return at some point. And then we get our next match, which was Orange Cassidy against Rey Fenix. This was actually a pretty good match. Orange Cassidy comes out. Rey Fenix tries to do what he did last week. He tries to do a flying kick on Cassidy, but Orange steps back out of the way, which really annoys Rey Fenix. Orange dodges Phoenix's lariat roundhouse and a foot sweep, puts his hands in his pockets. He hits a drop kick. Orange and Phoenix trade some pinfall attempts. Phoenix hits a double stomp. Orange counters a powerbomb attempt into a Yoshi Tonic for a 2 count. Phoenix hits a Gamangiri and a springboard leg drop for a 2 count. That looked really nice. Phoenix with a nice baseball slide, which actually sent Orange Cassidy into the cameraman that was positioned right there, which I thought was pretty funny. Then Orange Cassidy hits a Superman punch, a tope suicida, a flying crossbody, and a satellite DDT for a 2 count. Orange climbs up to the top turnbuckle, but Phoenix comes in with his rolling Hadouken and on Orange. But Orange knocks him off the top rope and hits a diving DDT for a 2 count. Phoenix then hits a sunset flip powerbomb. They're up in another part of the ring on the opposite corner. And Phoenix hits a sunset flip powerbomb for a 2 count. Hits a flying forearm in the corner. Tries to go for his Kaneko Buster, which is the muscle buster spinning into a Michinoku driver. But Orange counters out of that with a nice little roll up. That was a nice way to counter out of that. Phoenix hits a pump kick, but then tries to go for his leaping kind of Canadian Destroyer. But Orange counters that into an air raid crash for a 2 count. Kip Sabian then comes out and brings a ladder out to the ramp and climbs up to the ladder, which kind of distracts Orange. Of course, this is alluding to the casino ladder match that's going to be taking place at Double or Nothing. Phoenix hits a low blow and then a rolling cutter on Orange Cassidy for the 3 count and the victory. After the match, SCU comes out and tilts the ladder, which dumps Sabian into the ring. Jimmy Havoc comes out and starts attacking the members of SCU. They brawl to the outside, and then Phoenix does a nice diving plancha to the outside, but actually doesn't get enough forward momentum before coming crashing down, and nobody was able to really catch him before he landed back first on the mat, and that looked like it hurt him. I don't know if it knocked the wind out of him. I don't know if it bruised a rib or broke a rib, but he landed hard on that mat. I mean, it was a padded mat, but I mean, you gotta understand that he's jumping from, I mean, he can leap into the fucking air, and and nobody was really able to catch him before he fell to the ground, so he hit the ground hard. And unfortunately, as a result of this, probably due to precautionary, they're probably going to take err on the side of caution here, and they pulled Ray Phoenix from the casino ladder match, which really kind of sucks because that really takes, you know, a pretty big element out of that match, you know, considering Phoenix's history with ladder matches. But his replacement is going to be the bad boy Joey Janela, and we still have no idea who the 9th participant is, which we're going to find out later tonight as I'm recording this. And then Colt Cabana comes in, who's also a participant in the casino ladder match, and does an Asai moonsault and hits everybody. And then the Best Friends launches Orange Cassidy to the outside onto everyone as well, which looked really nice. And the Best Friends stand tall. I gave this match 3.25 stars out of 5. And then we get to the match that resulted in the serious injury that I was alluding to earlier. This was the lone tag match of the evening, and it was in the women's division. Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander teaming up to take on Dr. Britt Baker and the champion Nyla Rose. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this match wasn't that bad. It was just the ending was just kind of confusing, although they had to kind of call a couple of audibles due to what happened near the end of this match, which I'm going to get to. But there's a lot to say here in this match. Nyla and Shida get into a tug of war over the kendo stick, which of course Nyla stole from Shida, and Britt Baker actually gets clotheslined by it accidentally. Chris and Shida do like a Jericho Bulldog somersault plancha combo on Nyla, where Shida does the Jericho Bulldog and Chris hits the somersault plancha. Chris hits a drop kick on Nyla Rose. Nyla hits a pounce on Chris Statlander, and Nyla with a body slam and a leg drop on Chris Statlander. Goes to tag Britt Baker, but she refuses to be tagged in, which I thought was pretty funny. Nyla with a side slam and a running splash on Chris for a 2 count. Then she applies a Dragon Sleeper and then a stalling suplex on Chris. Tries to go to tag Britt Baker yet again, but Britt says, I don't want to be a part of that. But then Nyla actually grabs Britt Baker by the throat and says, tag me, damn it. And Baker's like, okay, and grabs the ring rope and tags herself in. I thought that was funny in the heat of the moment. Chris hits a small package on Britt Baker, only gets a 2 count. Britt starts raining shots down on her, knocks her back into the corner, and Nyla Rose actually catches Statlander. Britt Baker tries to go for a move, but Chris gets the boot and hits the fallback enziguri on Nyla. Tries to go for the tag. Baker grabs Chris's leg. Chris tries to go for the enziguri, but kind of misses. But so that was a bit of a botch. But gets the tag to Shida. Shida hits a running knee strike on Baker and Nyla in the corner. Shida hits a rising knee strike on Baker. Shida hits a suplex on Baker for a 2 count. tags Chris Statlander in. Nyla accidentally splashes Baker in the corner, which causes Baker to, fall to a sitting position. And here's the spot where the injury occurred. Chris Statlander and Shida pick Nyla Rose up onto their shoulders, kind of a double fireman's carry. And do a kind of a double fireman's carry slam into the corner on Britt Baker. The thing is, and this, I was like, ooh. Nyla landed pretty much her full weight right on Baker's right leg. And you could tell right away that, Baker knew that something was wrong because she was, really clutching her leg. It looked like she was in a lot of pain. And when she tried to continue the match, she couldn't really put any weight on it. She was actually clutching at her leg, which that's not a good sign. And they said that they were going to update Baker's condition on Double or Nothing, but a lot of people are suspecting that it may be an ACL injury, maybe a torn ACL, which if that's the case, she's probably going to be out of action for the remainder of the year, which really kind of sucks. And this is kind of the problem that I was alluding to earlier. I can't remember which review it was, but this is the problem with having a top-heavy women's division. I mean, right now, you really only have 4 big stars at the top of this division right now, and that's Nyla Rose, the champion, obviously, Hikaru Shida, Riho, and Britt Baker. And you can even see that when you look at my personal rankings. Those are the 4 that have been pushed the most, basically, in this division. But the problem with having only, 4 wrestlers as your main stars in your division is, a situation like this where what happens if one of them gets injured? Like this case. I mean, Britt Baker, if it's true that it's a ACL injury, then she's out for the remainder of the year. I mean, some people are saying it might take 9 months up to a year, for her to rehab her injury. And then you're left with, only 3 big stars in your women's division, and one of them, Riho, has been kind of stuck in Japan because of this whole COVID-19 shit, and she hasn't been seen on Dynamite or on any kind of AEW programming in over 2 months. So right now, as it stands, when you look at, my personal rankings, and you see, how top-heavy it is, it's basically Shida and Nyla at this point. So AEW really needs to start focusing on their women's division. They really do. They really need to start, giving them more of a platform, giving them more matches, whether that be on Dark or have 2 matches on Dynamite. You need to start, showcasing your fucking women's division. Because you have a lot of great talent on this women's division, you're just not utilizing it for some stupid fucking reason. It's ridiculous. And this is the reason why I think it's ridiculous. Because now, when you have a top-heavy division like this, and then this shit happens, all of a sudden, the women's division is suddenly left razor thin. So, that's what I say about that. But Chris hits a spinning Michinoku driver on Baker for a 2 count. Of course, you can kind of see her leaning in, and I think Baker was basically telling her, I think my knee's fucked up. And I think she kind of relayed, and I think through some signals, I think Chris kind of relayed that to Nyla. So they basically had to kind of call an audible here as a result. So Nyla pulls Baker to a corner and tags herself in, and that allows the ringside doctor who was there to basically check on Baker, and you could see that there was something seriously wrong. So it definitely looks like a serious knee injury. Chris hits an electric chair drop on Nyla, tags in Shida, who hits a missile drop kick on Nyla. Shida hits the running knee strike on Nyla for a 2 count. Nyla suplexes Shida. Shida starts raining forearm shots on Nyla Rose. Nyla hits a lariat on Shida. Chris with a drop kick on Nyla for a 2 count. Nyla hits a modified Northern Lights suplex on Shida, only gets a 2 count. And then hits the Beast Bomb on Shida and gets the 3 count and the victory. So, yeah, this match had a lot to it, but not the cleanest affair, and ended in a serious injury that affected one of the matches for Double or Nothing. But I am going to give it 2.5 stars out of 5. So there's that. But after the match, Nyla pulls a table out from under the ring, and it looks like she's going to try to splash Shida through it. But Chris grabs Nyla Rose, distracting her for a second. Nyla knocks her out of the way, but Shida basically hits a forearm on Nyla and then superplexes Nyla through the table. So this is basically a preview of what's to come for those two, because their women's championship match at Double or Nothing is no disqualification. So that's going to be interesting. Moxley gets interviewed backstage about his match at Double or Nothing. And then we get an interesting segment with Shawn Spears called Shawn Spears News, which I thought was pretty funny. Basically starts running down Cody and Dustin Rhodes, saying how Dustin Rhodes has retired. You know, that's just him saying that, though. And he basically challenges Dustin Rhodes to a match at Double or Nothing because he's like, you know, I'm not on the card at Double or Nothing, and that's a travesty. You know what I mean? So we got a match between Dustin Rhodes and Shawn Spears for Double or Nothing. And then we get to our main event, which was Sammy Guevara against Broken Matt Hardy. So highlights of this match: Hardy sends Guevara hard into the corner, hits a snake eyes on the guardrail, sends Guevara hard into another section of guardrail. Guevara blocks the twist of fate by doing a handstand and hits a super kick. He hits a Gamangiri. Hardy blocks the springboard cutter and hits an Eye of the Storm for a 2 count. Guevara counters the BT bomb with a Frankensteiner, hits a Sky Twister press to the outside, and then hits a penalty kick in the stomach for a 2 count. Guevara hits his twisting drop kick, gets a 2 count. Hardy dodges out of the way of a standing moonsault. Excuse me. And then Hardy starts slamming Guevara hard into each turnbuckle, like the top turnbuckle, bottom, you know, so on and so forth. Hardy hits a roaring lariat and then a side effect for a 2 count. Guevara hits a dragon whip, which didn't really hit him that clean. And then a back suplex slam for a 2 count. Hardy hits his twist of fate, but Guevara rolls to the outside. Guevara hits a running knee strike and a couple of super kicks, only gets a 2 count. Hardy dodges the shooting star press and nails a spiking twist of fate, but only gets a 2 count. Hardy takes off one of Guevara's shoes and starts biting his toes. Guevara hits a rising knee strike for a 2 count, hits a springboard cutter for a 2 count. Goes for the shooting star press once again, but Hardy got the knees up, gets a roll up, and only gets a 2 count. But then Hardy hits a second spiked twist of fate and gets the 3 count and the victory. So Hardy grabs a steel chair and it looks like he's just going to waylay Guevara after the match. And I gave this match 3 stars out of 5. I don't know if I said that or not. But then on the Titantron, the Inner Circle is shown attacking Kenny Omega on the football field, basically saying that we're going to take Kenny Omega out, and then Matt Hardy's going to be the only one against the Inner Circle in the Stadium Stampede match. But then the Young Bucks appear in the stands, and Proud and Powerful try to go after them, but the Young Bucks do a flying crossbody onto Proud and Powerful, which is where Matt Jackson was injured from the looks of it, even though it didn't look like it was that serious, saying that, you know, it might have been a rib injury. You know, we don't know if it was a fractured rib, a broken rib, or anything of that nature. But he certainly didn't show it during this whole sequence. And as the Inner Circle and the Elite fight it out, we see someone running in the background out of one of the tunnels onto the football field, and then makes a 90-degree U-turn and starts heading towards where the battlefield is. And it turns out it's Hangman Adam Page. Yes, the Hangman has returned to Dynamite. Lariat's Jericho, and starts whipping some ass. And eventually, this brawl ends in a stalemate between the 2 factions. So, apparently, the Stadium Stampede is going to have a pair of rings at the 50-yard line of the stadium, and it's false count anywhere. So, it could literally be anywhere in the stadium, which I would imagine is going to be absolutely balls to the wall crazy, because when you have, you know, 2 5-man factions going at it in an all-out war, it's probably going to be a pretty freaking interesting little deal. And that was your go-home show for Double or Nothing. It was alright. Unfortunately, you had a couple of injuries that are going to affect Double or Nothing, but you know, it's just the way of the business. It just sucks that it happens right before Double or Nothing. And to the wrestlers that were injured, Ray Phoenix and Britt Baker, they had to, pull out of Double or Nothing due to their injuries. From the looks of it, Phoenix is not going to be out that long, but from the looks of it, Britt Baker is probably going to be out for at least 9 months, which means that she's going to be out for the remainder of the 2020 year, which really sucks, because even though she's been really inconsistent as far as her in-ring work is concerned, her heel work, since she turned heel, has been pretty fantastic. The whole role model shit, it's been pretty good. But overall, my final rating for this show, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It was alright. It was watchable. It was easy to watch. And, the ending segment between the Inner Circle and the Elite, it really whets your appetite for what's to come at Double or Nothing. So, that's going to do it. This is the first review for today. Coming up later today, on Sunday, which is when I'm opening this, will be the review for Double or Nothing 2020. And I'm going to be looking forward to doing that one. So thank you very much for watching. Here are my updated rankings. And until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. See ya. You better like and subscribe or face the consequences. You have been warned.